Hello and welcome back to the Youth Voice. In this episode, we will be interviewing our special guests, Christy and Alan, at the Carrot Cafe. Nice to meet you guys. So we're gonna hop right into the questions. So, question number one: what do you do as a community member?
Well, if I could start, I just arrived. My wife and I just bought a house last July here in the neighborhood. And so one of the first things I did was get involved with the community league. So I'm on the board there, helping out as best I can. I've been involved in community leagues for many, many years, so I have some experience and some things I can offer to help. But mostly I'm there to do whatever I can to assist them and to make some friends, get to know some people there, and be part of the community.
What about you?
And I moved into the neighborhood there 30 years ago. I went to Victoria School of the Arts, and the revitalization of how an art school in downtown Edmonton could turn from a crime-ridden school, because that's what it was way back in 1980s, and how the arts transformed it into a vibrant, beautiful space. I was part of that transformation in the first 2 years that Victoria School of the Arts began. And so when we moved into this neighborhood, we thought we were going to quickly move out and move back to the south side. And then because I'm a theater artist myself and went and trained at university. And after a while, we sort of said, you know what, we're going to stay here and maybe we can use the arts to transform community. And so that's what I've been doing as a volunteer at the beginning. And now I'm the executive director of Arts on the Ave, which is a charity in the community to find ways to find healing and transformation through the arts.
That's really cool. What do you hope to accomplish as an individual for the community?
Well, as I started to mention a minute ago, I'm just trying to help out however I can. And so I'm helping with social events and different activities that the league is involved in. And then most recently, I realized that crime is a big issue in this area. And so I've sort of stumbled into some of the issues on that front, and looks like I'm going to be quite involved in that for a while.
Yeah, and for me, very similar in that safety is one of the major issues, and so working together with community members is what I love. And so myself and Alan connected with the concern of knives in corner stores, and knowing that youth are carrying knives in schools, they're carrying knives on the street, people that shouldn't be carrying knives, or these knives are weapons, and what can we do together, because more is better when it comes to a community voice as opposed to a single person. And so Alan and I have been able to work together on this project.
Awesome. What have you already accomplished as a community member?
Well, these are pictures of some of the stores that are involved, and these are some of the knives. And they're very dangerous. They're weapons designed to try to kill people. And they have. There was a person just killed in Petro-Canada a couple blocks from here 2 weeks ago. And right now at the courthouse, there's a case involving a student at McNally High School that had been swarmed and killed by somebody with a knife, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very serious issue. Christy and I teamed up in the last couple of months to organize a number of groups to go to City Hall and to ask for some changes to their bylaws to prohibit the sale of these knives in local stores. That's our first step, and following that, we'd like to get them out of the hands of people altogether to make it illegal to even carry these things. And so if we can do that, that would be a big change, because a lot of far too many people are carrying these and using them in altercations, and the statistics show that just about as many people are being hurt and killed by knives as they are by firearms in Canada. And so if we can make a dent in that, at least in Edmonton, that would be a big help.
Another question is, what matters most to you and your community?
Well, for me, what matters most for me is to have a community that's vibrant, that's beautiful, that's healthy and safe. And to be able to have festivals and stores that are really great, be able to see our neighbors and know our neighbors, and be able to just really have that old feeling of neighboring and being together and not othering of creating others. Instead, it's the opposite of othering and creating neighbors and relationships and community.
What challenges have either of you faced as you are trying to build a community like that?
Well, as I was saying a minute ago, safety is a huge concern, unfortunately, in this neighborhood. We weren't here more than a couple of days and everybody was telling us to nail down our stuff, in our yards and in our garage and whatnot, because there's all sorts of thieves looking for opportunity just to steal your stuff, and so that's really got the neighborhood on edge. A lot of people are very nervous about that and more serious crimes that are happening here, and unfortunately, I think that's really holding the neighborhood back, and so we really have to address that. We really have to deal with it and reduce those incidents and reduce those fears about it, and then I think the neighborhood could really blossom.
How would you recommend for other people to get involved in community work?
Community work is very rewarding. And I would say I would encourage everyone to be involved in their communities, even just in small ways, whether that's helping the lady down the street, that's community work, helping her shovel her snow. Or maybe it's seeing that your neighbor has a need and hasn't been out of their house for a while, and maybe it's baking banana bread and dropping it off for them. Or it can be as large as building a festival, like the work that Arts on the App does and that I do, right? And so there are so many different variations of how you can be involved in community work. But I think as humans, part of how we're designed is to be involved in community, and that's giving and receiving, because you do get so much back when you're giving. In this situation with safety, Alan and I did not realize how important it would be to bring so many other communities together. So it's not just the Alberta Avenue District, it's Queen Mary Park, it's Central McDougall, it's Macaulay, it's West End, Beverly, and basically the whole city, to see if the knives were a big problem in community. And we're finding out more and more it's a huge problem.
How did you get involved in community work?
Well, I started when we had our first child in Sherbrooke near Westmount, and the playground was really decrepit, and we thought, well, what could we do to fix it up? So I went to community league meeting to see what could be done. And the very next meeting, I was president of the community league. And so I had that issue and a lot of other ones on my plate to try to sort out. And so that was one of the real beginnings for me to get involved, and then I've been involved in community leagues in many ways for many years since then.
Why do you choose to participate in community work?
I choose to participate in community work because it is something that fills my tank. It's something that I love to do. I love to be able to find people and that maybe don't have a voice in community and come together. A lot of times working in vulnerable communities, people feel like they're not heard. And so I love being able to strategize and figure it out and see how we can make things happen.
Why did you choose to participate in advocacy about these community issues?
Well, this one is a really serious issue, and someone has to speak up. People are being hurt, and as I mentioned, there's been a couple people killed recently, and so in my view, when you see something like that, you can't just turn the other cheek. You have to say something, you have to do something, and so that's just simple as that. I felt I just had to get involved.
Yeah, for me too. I think sometimes it's tiring to be an advocate or an activist in community. And having others come around that have similar viewpoints and are like, hey, maybe we should do something is what we're meant to do together. It's not by ourselves. And these knives, I know, are a problem in probably most every high school. And the question for me, for you guys, is how does a school become safer? And how does, when you see a knife in your community school, what's our responsibility? And that's how we started questioning ourselves as what's our responsibility as a citizen that cares in my community? And it's a similar thing of like in a school community, what's our responsibility? How do we manage that? What's our strategy? Because we get scared. You know, I get scared. Is someone to come and bash my windows here at the Carrot where I work because I'm standing up to say they shouldn't carry these knives? It's a real fear. And I think we all carry those fears of in our peer groups, in our communities, what are people going to think? How are they going to think of us? Are they going to think that we're trying to take down people? And it's about how do we bring social good and raise it up.
What is working well in tackling these issues?
Well, fortunately in Edmonton here, we have a really responsible form of local government with individual councillors that are really close to the citizens. And so we've been able to access that and work with them very closely. And so that's a real advantage. And so when we went to council last week, we could quickly see that they're very interested in this issue and wanted to do something about it. So that's a real asset that we've got that we need to take advantage of, and we're doing that right now.
How can others get involved in this type of community work?
Pretty easy. Just one phone call. So it's to get a hold of myself or Alan or the Carrot or the Community League to say, hey, I heard about this and I'm a concerned citizen too. How can I help? And there's always room at the table, as we know, to learn, because some people might be like, hey, I haven't been like Alan Bolstad, a counselor for 4 terms and know how to navigate through city, workings and departments, or I haven't worked for a non-for-profit. How do I do this? We'd be very happy to have room for everybody at the table to work through this, because our voices are important and there's a huge amount of learning that can come through that too.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up, but thank you so much for your time.
Yes,
it's so important to us.
And we hope to see you guys again on here soon, maybe, for updates.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Congratulations for what you're doing as well. It's really important.
Thank
Really is. Good job, you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Youth Voice, and we hope that you enjoyed.
We will have more episodes coming out once a week on Mondays at 4:30.
Check us out on our Instagram for updates.
We also post our podcast on Spotify and YouTube, so you can find us there and listen. Thanks for watching the podcast. See you
Thank
guys next
you.
time.